So, as Bob said, I'm an account manager for Google, and I work with small to medium businesses in the Irish market. So before I kind of run through what I'm going to cover today, I just would like to gauge from the room kind of where our businesses are at. So just by a raise of hands, how many businesses are actually currently e-commerce enabled or have an e-commerce site? Okay, great. And of those, how many are actually mobile optimized? Fewer less hands. And then of that, how many people are exporting? Okay, so we've got a few. Okay, perfect. So today, what I want to kind of get you thinking about is three main things. So it's search, measurement, and mobile. So in this, we have so many customers.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry about that.
So we have a lot of customer behaviours that we can now measure and utilise to gain more profit and return. And also with the change digitally with mobile, it's something that you need to get on top of and help you understand, and that's what I'm going to try to do today. So first of all, mastering search. So if we just take a minute to kind of take in the image, I think it's something that's very common these days, and it is a change. Like, digital is on us. We're never going to be at a point in time that technology is never going to be as fast as it is today. It's never going to move backwards, and it's never going to be slower. So you need to make sure that your business is scalable, it's sustainable, and it's moving with the digital time, so you don't get left behind. About 3 to 4 year olds, 28% of 3 to 4 year olds are digital natives, which means they can't even read and write, but they actually know how to use digital technology. And about 50% of 5 to 15 year olds are digital natives. So it's something to kind of think about and where your business is going. 3.1. How many people today in the room have one device on them? Just raise your hands. How many have 2? How many have 3? How many have 4? This is the average amount of devices that an adult has that's internet enabled in Ireland. So it's just thinking about that, like 3.1 average at one point. Someone has 4. I'd love to know how about 4 devices that you have, but it's great. So it's just thinking about that. And in a recent study with the IAB report for 2014, 86% of people in Ireland are online, with 62% buying online. So your market, again, think about what they're doing. Gross 263 million euros is spent in Irish ad spend and online digital, with 34% growth just alone. And then out of that, €1 out of every 3 is spent on mobile, online advertising. So it kind of gives into context what Irish businesses can be doing, and the stats kind of speak for themselves. So a little bit more on online shoppers. So this was a connected customer study done in Ireland, giving us a bit more information about where our customers are, who our customers are, and again, it's something that you need to be taking into consideration for your business and your target market. So for instance, we've got 81% watching video content online. How can your business utilize that information? You know, how can we be strategic about it? 63% listen to music online. 28% do online gambling. Again, different businesses might be able to use this strategic information, all free and available. And then there's also micro moments. So this is where the change is happening. So when you think about your customer cycle, it's more and more evolving to customer micro moments, whereas fingertips, going from looking in a queue for coffee, maybe cinema tickets, or what they're going to do at the weekend, maybe looking at trying to buy something instantly when they have a spare moment. There's so many more macro moments or micro moments happening throughout the customer journey. So if we take, for example, our awareness piece. So you've got someone here who's watching a YouTube video on how to fix a dishwasher. Think about it yourselves. If something goes wrong with your phone or your dishwasher, what's the first thing that you try to do? Try to find a fix for it for free, and you just go online and try and search a solution. It's true. So how do you, as a business, try and utilize that information to be industry experts in what you do? So for instance, I'd be very surprised that this guy here doesn't have a business to be selling behind it. And I know there's so many case studies with with this, that people are using YouTube as a free platform to create brand awareness, to create simple videos like fixing a dishwasher. And then what you're going to do is this DIY head who's gone to fix it figures out that he can't actually fix it. So where is he going to go? He's going to go back to someone who tried to offer them the free information and remembers the brand. And it's so simple and it's free. So that's your awareness piece. Then you've got different things like consideration, as I mentioned at work, checking out cinema times. So make sure that you're there when they're actually searching, and think about your customer. Everyone's customer is going to be different with their business. And then the purchase. So people buying tickets to concerts or buying shoes online, picking it up in store. That's massive. That's really taking on, like, for instance, one of the girls that I live with, she recently just bought something in Zara and she went in and picked it up. So it's again thinking about your business and how you can utilize the micro moments to achieve sales and conversions, which is what you're trying to do at the end of the day. So search. Search behavior is sometimes strange but always true. You can't argue with it. It's something that your customers searched for. They're looking for it. So I've come across crazy searches from some of my clients and what they're actually searching for, and then convert off the back of it. It's mental what people actually search for. But understanding this is key. So there's about 2.5 billion users on Google search. And out of that, there's 100 billion search queries conducted every month. So if you break that down, that's about 40,000 searches per second. And out of that, 15% are completely new. So Google has never seen those searches before. That's 6,000 searches per second that are brand new, that we can't even predict. So search is a massive tool for any business because it's complete, honest searches. You can't contradict it. It's a direct response from what the customer is actually looking for. And if you have a product, you need to be there and make sure that you're available when they're actually searching. So how do we do this on advertising for Google? So with search, there's 3 key things that I'd always try and keep on top of, which is always there, always relevant, and always optimized. So if we go to the always there piece, you always want to be shown on every single device because you don't know where and when your customer is going to be looking for you. So take, for example, with a store, it's very similar. You're trying to place, the top brands, and you pay for space in a local supermarket. It's the same with Google search. There's only a limited amount of space on the top for paid ads to go, and your brand is competing with other competitors. So think about when you need to be at the top and make sure that you're relevant for your user. Always relevant. So again, simple things that if you want to reach the right person, make sure you're there at the right time and you've got the right message. Example here is somebody at home sitting on a laptop 7:30 at night searching for flowers. How, if you are a florist and you're closed, do you make this a conversion? And it depends on what you're actually saying. So are you going to tell them to call now? You're closed. You can't. So there's no point in having a click to call there at 7 p.m. at night. You want to make sure that you're telling them to, convert, buy online, next day delivery, or delivery next day. You've got a form, you've got something that allows them to still convert at 7:30 p.m. at night. And also to remember that some crazy stats, and I don't know if they were mentioned earlier on, but 70% abandon shopping baskets without purchasing. And then 96% of people leave a site without converting. So again, it's thinking about how you can be relevant. If you know someone's come onto your site and has put something in the basket, they're interested, they might got distracted, they might need to go away. How do you get back to them? And it's something that was mentioned, which is remarketing. So if you can think about your customer, you know they've been on the site, what message do you want to tell them now about coming back? They've left something in your basket. How do you bring them back in and make sure that they actually give you that sale? And that's the purpose, to make sure you're relevant. And then always optimized. So there's something to be said about always understanding what's happening with your customer, where your customers are, because that can just relay back to the website and completely optimize it. And again, if you can't measure it, you cannot improve it because you don't know what you're trying to improve. You're literally bidding blind and you're saying, oh, that might be it, and I'll fix that. But you need to be able to measure it, which is the next point. So how do we master measurement? John was a US pioneer in marketing back in his day, and he has this very famous quote: "Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half." And it's probably a lot of comments have gone through about this. You don't know what you're spending, and you want to make sure that you're actually spending the right half on advertising and get the right customers in. So what we now have the ability to do is understand web data. We want to be able to gather in not only what the customer is doing, but also use that information to consistently optimize your website. So I think about 80% put up their hands for having an e-commerce site. You need to be consistently looking at what your customer is doing when they come onto the site. Where are they dropping off if they don't convert? 96% are dropping off. 70% aren't purchasing, they're leaving it in the basket. So what are you doing to consistently make that percentage for your business lower? And that's just about using the information and turning it back to get higher return. The one thing I would say about this is analytics. So if you don't have it on the back of your website, I would definitely look to get it on the back. It's a free tool that basically calculates the customer path. So it'll understand what percentage of people are coming through on mobile, what percentage of people are coming through on desktop. It'll also then show you your customer path of where they start, where they're at, time logs. There's just a numerous amount of information. And it's a great way then to know your audience. So you can pretty much understand, like, not every customer thinks alike. You might know you have a category and your target market is, but no two customers think the same. So you need to understand what's actually happening on the back end of your website. Tracing the customer path as well. So where they are in the journey is just as important as who they are, because you can use that information. There's so many different tools, again, all free, like visitor flow, which will actually allow you to understand where your customers are at. And all of this will just get you better results. And if you're not doing this, it's madness, because you just can't measure it, so you don't know where your return is. So what I've done is I've pulled out a couple of bits that I would look at, even for your own website. Homepage and navigation, that should be the clearest thing. When someone lands on your homepage, you want to have clear call to actions, something that's getting the most amount of traffic, move it up. You know, if you find when you're looking through analytics and your popular product is actually down the bottom, turned over down there in a little search funnel down the bottom, it shouldn't be there. You should have it up at the top. So consistently remember that. On-site search. So are you using the information that you know about your customer and what they're actually searching for? Because, as mentioned, people are going to search differently on mobile versus desktop. So utilize that information and look at the results page, drop-offs, what search phrase, why did it happen? And just use that information to consistently optimize. And then registration, checkout, and conversions. If we're in e-commerce, this is what we're about. We want to get sales and conversions. So make sure you have it easy to convert. And something that a lot of people might not be aware of, but guest login. It's not that you're trying to get a smaller amount of information. It's just making sure that you're not losing a warm lead by somebody who doesn't want to fill out a big, long sheet. Like, all that information might not be relevant for someone who doesn't want to come back again, but you don't want to lose that sale. And finally, product and offering pages. So it's very simple. If there's high traffic and high conversions, you want to do more. But if you're not measuring it, you don't know what is getting high traffic and high conversions. Similarly, if you have low traffic but high conversions, you want to invest and promote. Again, measuring it, you'll be able to see that. But it's very simple then. Once you have it in front of you, you can try and do something and try and grow. So then it brings me to mastering mobile. So I think everyone can kind of relate to this. I don't think any probably would leave without their phone these days, going into work or anywhere. And if it goes dead, you kind of feel a bit lost. So it's kind of a big thing to think about, again, when you're a business. And what I've noticed is that kind of businesses and retailers aren't utilising mobile to their advantage. It's a massive opportunity that we should be grabbing onto and utilising it. So if your business might be a little bit different, for instance, if we take a mother and she's just had a newborn child, she's probably searching maybe at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning for a product. And if you're selling products about newborns or maternity, you need to make sure that that's when you're there, and it's probably on a mobile. So it's again thinking about your business and how you can be mobile optimized. So 30% of all global traffic is coming through from mobile on the internet. And I know mobile isn't as straightforward. It's not always about the conversions that happen on that device, but it's about the process that happens. So 30% change their minds about purchasing a product or service in store based on information on their phone. So when they're in the store and they're in the queue and they're actually looking at their phone for competitors or products to get ratings, again, what can you be doing to make sure that you're still there, giving them the right information so that they still purchase your product in store? And then a few more tips. So be there when your customers are searching. So 40% of customers say they've used a smartphone to research a purchase completed on a computer. So again, it's just trying to get into the mindset that people have, again, in Ireland, 3.1. A lot aren't exporting, there's maybe 10%. So if where market is in Ireland, these are your customers and they have the devices consistently on them. So then, when we're advertising on, if we're advertising on Google, what do we need to do when we're looking at mobile? So it's tailoring your message based on context. So again, like the example I gave with the mother and her maternity, she's going to want something that's very, very, very quick, simple to convert. And these are simple tricks that you can look at. So mobile preferred text. So make sure that the text that you're saying on mobile or your mobile ads or advertising is relative to the person who's looking at the ad. So are they on the go? What are they actually doing? Versus someone who's on a desktop. It's going to be different information. And then optimizing it simply with little extensions. So you can add on, your click to call for mobile so people can pick up the phone and call. You can add on the little links underneath the ad so that basically if you're trying to drive a certain type of jacket, but you want to try and upsell or do something else, or because it's on mobile, is there a simple path to purchase on mobile, we can link it underneath the ad. And then location extensions. So again, if you have a physical presence as well as an online presence, and you're shifting over to e-commerce, you can make sure that you get your location out there. So if you have a showroom for some of your products, you can have a little map appear up to it as well. So all of these, again, are easy to implement when you are advertising, and they're all the same cost as one click. So it's just something to bear in mind. And also, I don't know if you're familiar with Google Shopping. It's only available, it's not available in Ireland. It's in a couple of exports. So if you're exporting to the UK, it's definitely something to think about, because basically what you're doing is you're getting the picture or the product, an image of the product, the price, straight in front of the customer of what they've searched. So they've looked for red lawnmower, 7C, whatever. They're going to get the product and you're going to get all the competition. So if you know that you're competitively priced in that market, this is phenomenal. And not only that, you can utilize the bid strategies for shopping. So if you have high returning products, you can bid more for those products versus low returning products. So if you have a massive inventory of products, it's a great way to just upload, choose what ones you want to bid higher for, because you know you're going to get more return. And again, it's something to think about if you are looking to export. So I think Stephen earlier on kind of mentioned the change in the algorithm for mobile-friendly sites, which kicked off today. So basically what Google are trying to do is become more user-friendly for users. So they're changing it that if you have a mobile-friendly website, you're going to be helped up the ad rank. So you're going to be seen more favourable than someone who doesn't have a mobile-friendly site. So I pulled out the principles of mobile site design. It was a study that was done with Google and Answer Lab, and they just did a research on people looking at different products and different websites and what their feedback was. So there was a couple of top tips that I thought would be useful to share. So when it comes to homepage and site navigation, keep menus simple and sweet. You want to make sure that it's very, very easy to convert on mobile, and if you have very simple steps, it just makes it a lot easier for you to get that conversion. If you have 18 clicks and someone still hasn't even put in their credit card or their payment method, I'd be very surprised if there isn't massive high bounce rates, because you're going to get bored. Think about yourself as the customer. you're not going to spend 20 minutes trying to buy something online. And also then keep call to actions front and center. So if you actually spend the money in getting someone onto your site, you don't want them to get lost. You want to make sure that it's very clear if they need to call you for the product, or if they need to order it, or if they need to get a quote. Make sure that that's very clear to the customer, because it's very easy to get lost. And when you're dealing with mobile, people don't have patience. You know yourself, if the speed of a site isn't big, or if it's slow, you're just going to go back and try and find somebody else. So keep that in mind. Also, when it comes to site search, people tend to kind of forget about the search bar. So if you have a lot of inventory, make sure that there's an option there for them to search for it, so that you can easily find, as a customer, the product that you need. And always make sure they're relevant. Don't pull in different searches. Just make sure it's really clear for the product and they've searched for it. And then also make it visible so that people can search. So if they can't, for whatever reason, find their product on your site, there's a very simple way to just search it and find it, so you're getting that conversion and they land on that page. And then finally, obviously, with conversions is what we want. Let people purchase as a guest. I think that's a key thing that I want to try and get across. Again, very similar information that you need for a guest versus a new account. It just means that people have the reassurance that they're maybe not going to be retargeted, or all the information, they don't have to give it out, or passwords. And also make it very easy to finish converting on another device. So again, I know a lot of people might think that it's very difficult to get their business on mobile. So what you need to do is make sure that you're utilising what you know about your customer, or what you know about the product, and let them convert on another device, or give them an option that if they do need more help, there's a chat box, or there's a request to call back, or there's some form of opportunity, so you're not losing that sale. And it's just about thinking about how we can use mobile, because that's the change. And then some more tips. Keep it quick. Make it easy to convert. Make it local. Make it seamless. Listen, learn, and iterate. It's kind of the same things that need to be repeated. So always try and be optimizing. Look at that information on what people are actively doing on your site, what pages they're looking at, what's the bounce rate, and get it back into your mobile as well, so you're consistently getting the sales. I had a client that I was working with a couple of months back, probably about 7 months back, and they didn't have a mobile site, and they're a pretty big brand. And after they got the mobile skin, their conversions multiplied by 500%. So it's just understanding your customer, and making sure that it's just, if you're going to put the money into doing a mobile site, there's loads of links, especially with the new algorithm change. You can go on and find out if your website is going to be seen by Google's algorithm as a friendly site, and it gives you tips on how to change that. And there's also page speed insights, which you can put in your URL link and see how fast you are for customers on desktop and mobile. And it also shows you your interface and your user interface and abilities. So then other information, especially for the guys who are actually exporting outside of Ireland, there's so many resources that you can utilise that are free to help your business grow. Two here, for not only for in-market but export as well. Google Trends. You can put in your top keyword or top searches to see why is it popular, where it's popular, and maybe the average cost that you need to pay if you're advertising for that keyword. There's also then the consumer barometer, where it actually details out the internet traffic globally. So you can understand customers not only, again, in Ireland, but in your export countries. Or if you think your product, has an opportunity to export, utilise this information first before you go and spend loads of money trying to invest in the shipping or the actual sales as well. And there's lots more. So we've got Keyword Planner, where if you are building out and advertising online, you can understand what are the top searched keywords. We've got Display Planner. So again, this is the kind of brand side of things, where you can pull out and understand what websites you should be showing on for your target market, for your URL, for your website. We've also got the Global Market Finder, where it actually helps you identify markets for your business. We've got Inside AdWords, again, just blogs and information around what's going on. Think with Google, 1,000 Voices, which I'll touch on. Basically, this is a great one about small to medium businesses. It was set up by Google, and it's to help European businesses grow. And if you log on, it shows you videos and customer success stories of what they used, what markets they went into, or even simple keyword planners and keyword display planners, what difference it made that they had set up their accounts correctly when advertising with Google. Because you're just saving a lot more money if you're setting it up correctly from the start. Analytics is what we touched on, and then the AdWords Help Centre. And there's also AdWords support. So if you are currently advertising online, there's a free phone number that you can ring at any point if you're stuck, and it's a Google rep that will be able to help you out. So some customer stories. Betty Crocker, they actually confirmed the gluten-free trend using Google Trends, and that's kicked off massively. Everyone's really health conscious, and it's something that's been driven in schools, and it's going to take off. Topshop also reinvented its London Fashion Week by using Google+, tripled engagements. Free, didn't have to pay anything for that. So it's again thinking kind of outside the box. And then, as I mentioned, the 1,000 Voices. So this is the growth engine for Google businesses. Something that I would just go on, it's really nice to hear stories in Ireland and in the UK, and not just the big kind of players of what they did. Yeah, they've got loads of money. What can we do to actually utilise the information? And it's really, really nice to hear the stories. I've got one example. He's a CEO of RefMe, and basically it's bibliography, but I'll play the video so you can...
My name's Ian Forshu, and I'm the COO of RefMe. RefMe is the world's best citation and bibliography tool, and we've solved the simple nag that students have of creating citations. And it's free. I'd say it's the ultimate painkiller for students and researchers. We've built technologies, both mobile and web, that totally automate the process. So if you're a student or researcher, you can do it in one click. We use Google AdWords Planner to decide which countries we're going to launch in next. Over the past 3 months, we've launched in the UK, Australia, and the US, and AdWords has helped add nearly 100,000 users, and our target within 3 years is to hit 20 million users worldwide. We can use our data to make research materials available to students simply via their smartphone. RefMe is part of the knowledge economy. You could be in Africa, Harvard, or a university in India. You could be anywhere in the world. We call it the Revolution.
And that's pretty much everything. I don't know if it's available to open up to questions, but I'm more than happy to. I'm going to be out there for a few minutes anyway.